Hey, good morning. Um, Good to see you. Good to be here myself. Um, so today, oh, where's my little thing? I'm going to put my, I always forget this. And what ends up happening is that people say they can't hear me. So I'm going to put this on just a second. Hey, there we go. Now, of course, it'll help if I plug it in. Yes. All right, you guys. So one of the things I've hardly ever spoken about here on these little chats and that we do are some of the things that I do to keep myself or to assist myself or to support myself in staying calm or having a or being centered or being balanced and there's a couple of things that and this the importance of these things wasn't always obvious to me. And I'm just going to share with you now a few of the things that I've discovered over the last number of years that are really important for me so that I don't get flustered or or restless or stressed. I mean, we want to be in a state. I think most of us would like to be in a state where we're not stressed out. And I hear that all the time, that people are in dramas, and in there's just all this stuff going on that's stressful for them. And life happens. Life happens. Shit happens, and how we deal with it has a lot to do with some of our daily practices. I love that one of the things in the 12-step world is that we really early in recovery, we start to divide things up in smaller compartments, like one day at a time. And I remember really early in my recovery when I was like, okay, yeah, I can stay sober today. Yes. Yeah, I can. Yes, I can do. And so I learned to divide things up into smaller compartments. And then, as time went on, no pun intended, I was able to break it down into, you know, into eventually into this moment. And I didn't realize that I wasn't living in daily compartments. I was living in, whatever. I was always in the future. I was always in the past. I wasn't really here. And so I guess that's one of the practices right there, is that to practice being present, being here now. You know, no matter what's going on the planet, this is like really actually quite a big one. No matter what's going on, I mean, literally, the house could be burning down. And, and we could be standing on the street watching the house burning down and bring ourselves into this moment. Okay, where am I? I'm standing on the street. Am I safe? Yes. You know, is everybody safe? Yes. So we just, where the mind could go crazy about all the loss and all the, but here we are. I'm right here, right now. And I remember my brother Bob used to, when I would be all, crazy, I would call him up and say, this is happening and that's happening. And he'd say, whoa, just a second. Did you have breakfast? Yeah. Did you have a place to sleep last night? Yes. Wow. Are you okay in the moment financially? I think, those key little things. And I would say, yes, yes, yes. Okay. I think everything's okay. And but he would bring me back to the moment years ago. And here are some of the things that I do now to keep myself, or to support myself in being really here, and living in a a calm state. See, when we're in a state of, well, when we're present, we're more apt to be in our full potential. Because living in the past or the future, we're not there. We're not in our full potential. There's no possibility of being tuned in. So one of the things that I do to support myself is sleep. A daily practice is to get enough sleep. And science has proven more and more, like this last 20 years, how important sleep is. And sometimes for me, when I don't get enough sleep, I'll do a yoga nidra practice in the morning. Like if I wake up at 7, and I've only been asleep for 4 or 5 hours or so, I'll do a yoga nidra, which really puts me in a state of total relaxation. But sleep is really important. So that's one of the things that's a daily practice for me, that's really important. For me, also meditation is really important, even if it's a very short time. The one that we're going to do at the end of this is just like 3 or 4 minutes. Try it. We drop into this space through meditation, a great practice. Exercise, some form of mild exercise. It's interesting. New guys in recovery often go way over the top with this one. They're like, oh my God, it becomes like the most important because it's something they feel they can control, you know. So totally over the top, they're getting 3 hours sleep and exercising like crazy and wondering why they're scattered and, they're spinning like a top. So balance on the exercise, especially like if you're new and in recovery, you don't have to go to the gym every day. Well, you can't now, but just balance. I mean, exercise is good. Yeah, exercise is clearly healthy and a good thing for us, but not over the top. We don't have to get 2 hours every day. Just a 30-minute walk every day is exercise. So those things are balance. So sleep, exercise, meditation, and food. What we eat is really important, and so take some time to learn what's really recommended these days, the right oils and the right meat or salmon or the right veggies, less sugar, less processed food. There's a lot of stuff these days in the processed food. It's like the middle 6 aisles at Safeway. We can almost leave them alone. Everything's on the outside aisles that are healthy to eat. So how we eat is really, really important. And I've learned that some things just don't work for me. Dairy products don't work for me, like period. But I was brought up thinking that this is so important. You had to have dairy, and it just doesn't work for me. White flour doesn't work for me. Hardly any breads or carbohydrates work for me. It doesn't. So you find what works for you in your body around food. So food, sleep, exercise, meditation. These are practices. And then service. What happens when we're giving of ourselves without expecting anything in return, whether it's in our program, of course, or, whether it's at home, not measuring who did the dishes last, just doing them, just jumping in. How can I serve? How can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And that's, and not to measure. The ego wants to measure. Well, I did the dishes 3 times last week. There's 4 of us living here, and just who gives a shit? Just do, give, and give. That's a daily practice. I remember years ago I learned this saying was that he gave and gave and gave until he got it all. And we're not giving to get. It's just a natural process, and so step up every time you can to share. So those are a few little daily practices. That's it. I'm not going to go further into it than that. I could go a long ways, but yeah, sleep, the right foods, right exercise, meditation, service, helping others. Those are amazing practices. Oh, another one that's really, really good I love is a gratitude list. Gratitude. Gratitude's all about state of mind, right? And how to get in that beautiful state of mind. Having an attitude of gratitude is a big part of it. So that's it. All right. Somebody wrote a note. Right. Tara said love without expectations. Yes. I mean, truly unconditional love is never has expectation. It's unconditional, and a lot of times we struggle in relationship. This one of my friends wrote a note: "Love without expectations." We struggle in a relationship because of our expectations, and we say we're in love, but but what is love? Is love Does love have expectations? No. Love. I love love. We love love. I love, when I see love in relationship, I love it. It's beautiful, you know, and it, and it's certainly an opportunity always for growth, isn't it? So April the 12th, thought for the day. This this is, by the way, this little book that I read from, the 24-hour day book I've been reading from for quite some time. This sober world is a pleasant place for a recovered alcoholic or addict to live. Once we've got out of our alcoholic fog, we find that the world looks good. We find real friends in the 12-step world. We get a job. We feel good in the morning. We do. You eat a good breakfast. Oh, look, he's talking about practices. You eat a good breakfast and you do a good day's work. Yes. Yeah. Old Billy Sims used to say, big book in a lunch pail, because his part of his recipe, of course, was that we got a job, you know, big book in a lunch pail. Some of you might remember old Billy Sims. At night you come home to a family and at night you come home to a family that welcomes you because you're sober. But they welcome you. They didn't love us any less when we were using. It's just that we were harder to be around. But when we're sober and living, the thing in a grateful way, living in service, living in love, we're certainly more fun to be around. Am I convinced that this sober world is a pleasant place for me to live in? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, meditation for the day. Man's need is God's opportunity. First, I must recognize my need. Often this means helplessness before some weakness or sickness and an admission of my need for help. Yes, so surrender, helplessness, I would call that surrender. Next come faith in the power of God, God's Spirit, available to me to meet this need. Before any need can be met, man's faith must find expression. That expression of faith is all God needs to manifest His power in my life. Faith is the key that unlocks the storehouse of God's resources. So, yes, believing, like step 2 was we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Because our major problem in recovery was that we were, we couldn't stop using. And nothing happens until we stop using. And then life gets good. And we learn how to live. Many of us needed to really learn, some of us for the first time, or relearn how to be here, how to live in community, how to live in society. And some of us, it took longer than others. I think, I certainly struggled with all of that. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may first admit my needs. Yes. I pray that I may have faith that God will meet these needs in a way which is best for me. That's right. I don't always know what's best for me. So that's the deal. All right, you guys. So we're here. We've had a little chat, and it's Monday. I want to mention that at 7 tonight we have like a little group, and you're welcome to come. We have a sharing group, and it's it's kind of unique because there's no fixing. We're not fixing people. Nobody's broken. We're listening. So listening is loving. Right, so we're listening, and sometimes if people are open to a little feedback, that does come, but it's not about that. It's we're not fixing problems. We're just there together in a loving, supportive way. So that's on Zoom. It's not aired like on Facebook or anything like that. It's just a beautiful Zoom call, and I'll post that on this, but I'll also put out an invitation here shortly. Okay, so we're going to sit for a few minutes and just we're just going to meditate for a couple of minutes, okay? And that's the deal. Yeah. So what I've been doing with this is I've been just leading like a 3 minute meditation, literally just these little 3 minute meditations so that we can all practice. I mean, anybody can sit for 3 minutes, right? You know, can you sit for 3 minutes? Anybody can sit for 3 minutes. So let's do that. We're just going to close our eyes and drop into our body. You might say, what do you mean? Haven't I been in my body? Well, maybe not. I mean, most of where we seem to be is in our head, you know, so let's become aware of, you know, through our breath. Excuse me. Let's become aware of our body and use our breath to drop in. And with the breath, it's not just to watch the breath or be, you know, conscious of the breath, but to actually be in the breath. Be as close to the breath as you can be. We are the breath. Just imagine as the breath goes in into our lungs, that we're there, we're in our lungs. Beautiful, soft tissue of our lungs that absorbs the oxygen. Pretty magical, isn't it? Grateful for my lungs. Just feel the stillness. If the mind is running on, if there's thoughts, just gently let them go. Thoughts are just there. They're often just spontaneous. They're not really your thoughts or my thoughts. They're just thoughts. We are not our thoughts. So just gently let them go. You can pick them up later if you like. If there are any sounds, just include them. So just make this a daily practice. Either do it with me or on your own, or maybe even do it multiple times. We just find a quiet spot, close our eyes, and drop in. Eventually it becomes a place that we love to go. It's our special place, if you will. It's beyond description. Okay, just going to leave you here. Stay in this space as long as you like. I'd love to have you join us tonight on our Zoom call. I'll post the link shortly. Thanks. Love you guys. Thanks so much.